Hello, haha. Good
How are
morning.
you?
I'm
Good
good.
morning.
I'm good, haha. Oh, you're already here.
Yes, yes. I was thinking you didn't see the Zoom link
Oh
because
no, no. I
you
just.
did because my invitations are now sending two links at the same time and they confuse people. They send Teams and Zoom at the same time, so I have to fix it. So I'm glad that
Okay,
we are finally
okay.
connecting.
I gladly found it. Oh, good to be here.
Yes.
Right.
So you've been studying on the Commons then.
Absolutely. I've been reading. I've been reading some of the papers that you gave, mostly on share. On share, yes, on share, and then sometimes the introduction of the commons really are not so much, except that at a point in time they just mention it
Yes.
to let you know that
Yes. Yes, they
this.
do. But I think they probably could do more. We'll talk about
Absolutely,
it. But
absolutely.
if you read some Ostrom papers too,
Austrian,
you
yes,
understand. Yes,
yes,
because I
yes.
think
I've
that's
read, I've
really
read
important.
Austrian.
The
Who
share was just an example of international markets touching a resource at the local level
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
how it changes the
Abs-
dynamics,
abs-
which I
abs-
think is probably what happens in your case.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was one of the papers I said. So it was just almost like one or two sentences in the whole paper just dedicated to.
I know, it was surprising. I went and looked as well, even though, and I thought, well, okay, that's interesting, I think, yeah, tell me more about what's going on with rosewood in traditional management based
Ye-
on your data.
yes, yes. So what I've been able to glean so far that I want to put together for that idea of the paper is has to do with how China, I mean Ghana and China's rosewood trade, how it affected, I mean, land management and rosewood. Yes, aha. So that's what I want to, and what I the after some meditation, what comes out is that I noticed that it affected it in almost about some 4 or 5 ways. Yes. Now there's a Ostrom advancing this self governance thing, self governance of the commons. I see a positive case of that in what, yes, a positive case of
Okay.
that I can advance. Yeah, for instance, for one of the communities called Sonyo, it's for all the communities that I worked on. It's one of the communities that they were able to really harness the rosewood trade to their advantage.
Huh, okay.
Yes, yes. For
Yeah.
most of them, it was a negative story. Patches of people tried to get a benefit, even the leaders they get a benefit, and then they squander the money. For this community, they put down laws. I mean, they ensure that the leaders that came for the rosewood trade, at the end of the day, there were communities they set in place, some committees they set up. And I saw it really leading into that self-governance thing. They being able, the common pool resource is the rosewood, and I mean the forest, and then the unit of resource that they were getting is the timber, that's the rosewood. And being able to manage it in such a way that the community agreed that they set up some leaders, about seven people from different areas that would, that instead of one person or even the chief dealing directly with rosewood, what do you call it, marketers or rosewood traders, the committee dealt with them. Every amount of money that came, the chief don't even go to receive the money. It is the committee that receives. So there was transparency. They being able to agree. So I in fact I
Really?
started.
That's amazing.
Yes, so I've even started working. So I wrote it the Sonyo example. The committee. Yes, so that's the story that I work on. So that's the positive aspect. Now for the rest are negative in terms of
Well, yes, these are expensive resources. They cause conflict, I guess.
Absolutely, the rest are negative. First of all, I wrote some of them down. There was a boundary dispute, land boundary dispute. Because of the benefits that the rosewood brought to the people, now everybody now became so much aware of their land, and especially when there's rosewood on the land. And as a result of that, some of them even now were changing the boundaries of their land. You see?
So is this private land as well, or is it like the stool land?
Yes, most of them are stool lands, but they have ownership. You know, the stool lands, the chief is put in the hands of the chief and administered to the people. So families own it. Aha, yeah. So imagine that there are a lot of little dynamics even in the different areas in the north, and these will come out in terms of ownership of land. There are places that they feel that we have given the whole land to the chief, and the chief, especially in Upper West region, the chief holds all the land in trust for us. Yes, and so at the end of the day, sometimes, for instance, in Upper West, Savannah region, Bole, it is the chief. You are farming on the land, but the land is not for you. You are just farming. The chief has given it for you to farm. So the interesting dynamics of a place where people are farming on the land, but the rosewood does not belong to them. It belongs to the chief. Because the chief has just given them the land to farm on.
But is that a question? Just a quick question there.
Of course.
Is that a different? You're talking about a system in the north. It's a different system than the. I mean, I think with commons you have to be when you present your work what that system is, because I think in Ghana the north and the south is quite different.
Absolutely, yes. So that's as compared to the south, there are different dynamics. Because there's one of the communities I worked in called Kablima. You know, the people say that it is the chief, the land belongs to the. I engaged the chief and his elders on land management, and it was stated clearly that the land belongs to the chief. If somebody comes to the community, in fact, if even you are a settler, you come to the community, the chief will decide whether they will give you a place to farm or not. And for the people that are even already in the community, whatever lands that they are farming on, they are farming on them, but it does not belong to them. So if a chief gives you a land to farm on and there's a tree on it, actually you don't have the right to sell the tree, especially rosewood on it. You don't have the right. It is the chief that has the right. The opposite, you see, there's the dynamics of chiefs and landlords. There are places you go, especially in Upper East, that you go, that the landlord has power over the land. At every point in time, if there's a rosewood on the land, the landlord, based on his power, may decide to sell it just by telling the chief. But in other places like Upper West, it is not the case. The chief rather has. So these are little dynamics even in the north, because I worked in three and I saw dynamics of land management in different little dynamics. Savannah region, Upper West region, Upper East region, all of them in the north. There are little dynamics. So the boundary dispute, because families eventually, even when the chief has the right over the land, some of the land is given to families to farm. There are places that the boundaries came so strong. At the point in time, people were now changing the boundaries of the land just to claim the rosewood on them. And why? Because now global China is there. China needs the rosewood. They are getting money out of it, and so we must do everything, even if it doesn't belong to us. We must do everything to try to own some of the rosewood on the land. So that's one of the negative aspects. So this change of land boundaries also, I mean, obviously brought boundary dispute. Yes, I mean, so that is how the effect. People now know that there's value for this. Let's do everything to get it. And then some don't even mind stepping on the toes of others. I mean, people in the community that eventually are even from one common ancestor that because of the crave for money, crave for yes, now can become enemies. Yes, and then also one of the things that these common ideas talk about, especially the first conventional theory of the commons, that talk about the fact that if people are not really interacting and they are living at different places, as they appropriate or collect the resource, eventually there's a negative the more one person is taking from it, there's a negative impact on the rest. People feel that this is our resource. All of us must enjoy from this resource. And so if somebody is really taking so much from it, then we are losing. I saw that come to play. Now, at a point in time, some of the community members felt that regulatory bodies like Forestry Commission and all that, they were not being fair to them. They in the name of trying to manage it, they were rather letting the resources go. And the idea of them feeling that they were losing made them also try to break the forestry rules with impunity. That to the extent that they would hide to go and fell them indiscriminately on the farm, on and off reserve. And one of the things that I also comes out as I saw, in Ghana, the forest is either the on reserves and then the off reserves. The on reserves are the gazetted government forest where it is strictly under the management of the government or regulators, by Forestry Commission. And then we have the off reserve. The off reserves is not strictly under the management of Forestry Commission, because those forests actually belong to the communities. It is really not part of the government gazetted forest. And these road suits are both the on reserves and the off reserves. And so sometimes I noticed that there was even a challenge with regards to really regulating the rosewood trade on the off reserves. At a point in time, most of the regulators, it's like their hands are tied, because you really don't have power on the farms of the people. If there's a rosewood on it, it's an off reserve. And so your power don't really stretch strictly on them as to how to decide what they should do with it. And so that in terms of a regulation, but at a point that they felt that no, the last commission, the Forestry Commission felt that this was getting out of hand. They had to step in. But even that, they had to do that with caution, because you really don't have power. That's our land. That's off reserve. Mostly their farmland. And so they were clear felling them indiscriminately. Good. And so one of the things also is flouting of the rules with impunity. Now forestry, most of the laws were not at work because it's like a rush for gold. All of us are in to get something. When they even got the sense that even Forestry Commission, they were also trying to make money out of this. The community, some of the community would feel that we are not going to sit down to allow you elite to capture these resources that belongs to all of us. Then we all get in there. So we see a case where a disorder, some chaotic scenes of management, of land management. Now when everybody feels that this is something that all of us need to go in and enjoy from.